Guys, before I even say a word about Dune Part 2, I just need to get into character here. Alright, now that I've got my 100% movie-accurate Fremen cosplay on here, let me just do this really quick. May thy knife chip and shatter. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, before I talk about Dune 2, I need to give you guys some context, because I feel like my review here, I have a unique perspective on Dune that maybe some other reviewers don't have. I'm not trying to make it like this is about me, but let me just say this. As of a week ago, I have never seen a Dune movie. Not the 1984 one, not the new one. Of course, the new one's the more important one. I watched last Monday the first movie for the first time, the 2021 Denis Villeneuve, space opera epic Dune, Part 1. I instantly fell in love with that movie. The past week, I have been nothing but absolutely obsessed with the Dune franchise leading up to Dune Part 2. I believed the hype. So I've only been a fan for about a week now. Friday night, 2 days ago, I rewatched the movie in the same week. That's how excited I was for Part 2. Then last night, Saturday night, I went to go see Dune Part 2. Everyone was raving about this movie. And I am here to tell you that it legitimately is the best movie of the 2020s. Really quick though, before I get into the details, let me just show you my reaction. Guys, it's currently 10:35 on Saturday. I usually try to see movies ASAP, but I was coming home from my college's spring break or whatever, so that kind of messed me up. But I'm about to see Dune 2. Like I already explained in this video or whatever, I'm on such a Dune high right now. I don't care if it's seen as bandwagoning, whatever. This past week, I have been obsessed with Dune. I cannot even begin to explain how excited I am to watch this peak. This movie better be so good. I know it's gonna be good because, God, these reviews have been amazing. I cannot wait. I'll show you guys my theater reaction in a second, but oh my God, I have 10 minutes to go until I get to see Dune. My desert, my Arrakis, my Dune. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Let's go! Alright guys, it's 1:53 in the morning. I just got out of the theater. To be completely honest with you, I'm absolutely exhausted. So you guys are going to see my energy in the review, of course, but that might be the best movie of the 2020s so far. I know that, we're only 4 years in, technically. Oh my God. I'm not even just trying to fake this reaction, for YouTube or just to try to get likes or whatever. Genuinely, my organic reaction, even though I was a little bit tired, oh my God. I need to watch that again immediately, but let's just get right into this review because, oh my God. Okay, so like I previously stated, I watched this movie last night, Saturday night, from basically 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. So I was a bit tired while watching it. On top of that, I watched it in IMAX, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I feel like IMAX, I'm starting to realize, just isn't for me. I really do enjoy IMAX. I appreciate it. I respect people that enjoy it. I love the movie theater experience, but something about IMAX, I don't know. I feel like the screen's a little bit too big. Call me crazy, I'm not sensitive or whatever, but still, I don't know. Something about it I don't really love. Regardless, getting out of that movie, honestly, I wasn't really just amazed. I wasn't wowed. I was trying to process between me being both exhausted and just, going through a 3-hour sci-fi epic that's super dense. There was a lot to think about. So, of course, sorry, my cosplay keeps falling off. Of course, I needed to just sit on it. I needed to think about it. I needed to say to myself, basically, did I really enjoy that film? So naturally, like everyone else does, I slept. I had a nice 8 hours of sleep, woke up, and I was still a bit groggy. And I was like, what is it about this movie? Did I not like it? This, that. But then, I went to my local Wawa, which is a convenience store for those of you that don't know. I had a Red Bull, and it just woke me up. And it didn't just wake me up, it just lit this fire inside of me. It woke me up, not just, in real life, just, getting my energy up, but it woke me up to this movie. And it made me really finish processing, I should say, what I witnessed last night in an IMAX theater with the most beautiful sound that I've ever heard. Sound system, I should say. Because, oh my God, this legitimately, like I said already, is probably the best movie of the 2020s so far, up to this point. Now, with that being said, I am a person that differentiates best from favorite. I know that some people say, no, they're the same thing. No. Favorite movies and best movies that you've ever seen are different. Is this one of my favorite movies of the 2020 so far? Definitely. I just need to rewatch it at least. But the best movie, the best quality film so far of this decade, I believe that to be true. Like I said, I need to rewatch it because this is an action-packed, super dense film, a lot of information being thrown around, but I don't want to waste any more time. Let's just really dive into the details here. Of course, that first movie I absolutely love. Some people say that it's a little bit slow-paced. I don't mind it at all. I think it sets up the second movie perfectly without sacrificing it being like a part one. I feel like there is some payoff. It's very interesting, setting up all this lore. Some of the best world building I have ever seen. And for those of you that have watched my channel before, world building is something that personally I just love. When it's done correctly, oh my god, I'm going to love your movie even more. Of course, I want it to be written properly, a good story, this, that, good characters, but world building done right transcends a movie for me. And that's what this film does. It just transcends cinema. I don't mean to sound dramatic, but like I said, this legitimately is like the best movie of this decade. And why is that so? This first movie set everything up, and it feels like this movie has such an equal amount of both payoff for what was set up in the first movie and still leaving some things lingering for the future that it's just masterful. It's such a nice balance. The story in here, oh my god, obviously continues from the first, like I said, but just builds on everything. It takes place right after that first movie, and it feels like we know where we are. It's not like there's some huge time jump where it's like, oh, what went on, whatever. No, we are right back in the action with the characters that we've known. The first 60% of this movie, Dune Part 2 I'm referring to for now on, the first 60% of this movie, if I had to guess, pretty much just feels like a continuation of Dune Part 1, which isn't an issue. I'm just saying it feels like our normal film, kind of the same vibe. But the back 40%, of this movie with one of the most phenomenal, game-changing third acts I've ever seen, and the thing that kind of switches, the flip that switches from that end of that 60 to the start of the back 40% is unbelievable. And as someone that is not familiar with the lore of the books, not even the lore of the books, but just, the books in general, the story, I didn't really know what to expect going into this. I didn't know the twists and turns, one could say, because I want to just try to keep this spoiler free of what was going on here. And there's one thing that really elevates this movie, in my opinion, to being the best film of the 2020s. The story, of course, it's on par with every other story that we've gotten that have just been great this decade. But the thing that really puts it above everything else, besides Denis Villeneuve's just unbelievable vision, is Timothée Chalamet. And if a week ago, someone like myself that was not a fan of Timothée Chalamet, I honestly was kind of like, I don't really like him that much. If someone told me what his impact would be on this movie, I wouldn't have believed you. I wouldn't have. Because a week ago, I was pretty much saying, oh, there's no way Dune 2 is this good. These early reviews are, saying it's like the greatest thing ever, like Empire Strikes Back. There's no way. Timothée Chalamet's performance in this movie, especially in that back 40%, is one of the best I've ever seen. I don't want to jump the gun here. I'm just kind of putting this out into the universe as an early, projection, an early guess. He's our next Leonardo DiCaprio. He's our next generational actor. This movie solidified it for me. Easily. I've seen him in Lady Bird. He's fine. He has a little side role. I've seen him in this and that, smaller roles. I thought he was great. He's charming. This movie, oh my god. The bone chilling. I'm actually, my whole body, I'm literally have chills running down my body right now. His acting, the scenes that are put in this movie are so powerful, scary, moving. They had me ready to run through a brick wall. As tired as I was, they had me ready to run through a brick wall. The final 10 minutes of this movie, his acting was so good. I had this pit in my stomach. My teeth were clenched to the point where once that final scene ended, I realized, oh my god, my jaw is like sore over here. I gotta relax. Because that's how good his acting was. That, in my opinion, is almost the best part of this film, is Timothée Chalamet. Paul Atreides has the potential to be one of my favorite characters ever. I know that the way the story goes, it's not that, he's necessarily the best person in the world, but it doesn't matter. When it comes to just interest level, he truly is. Speaking of performances, Austin Butler in here. Phenomenal. He plays Fade Roth, I want to say is his name, the Harkonnen kind of cousin, nephew of Baron. He's phenomenal. I've seen people comparing him to like Heath Ledger's Joker, this, that. I'm going to be honest with you, I do think that's laughable, just in the sense that he doesn't even have, first of all, enough screen time to even be comparable to someone like the Joker. And on top of that, I feel like his plot importance, yeah, he's pretty important, but it's not like he's running the whole movie, so they're not even comparable. That's kind of a joke. Regardless, one of the better side villains type of thing, short-lived, short-impact villains I've ever seen. He's scary. He's terrifying. He is so committed to this role, it's unbelievable. Rebecca Ferguson's in here as well. Absolutely just going off. Florence Pugh, great. The set design in this movie, unbelievable. I'm kind of jumping all over the place here. Javier Bardem, the way he's able to sort of balance comedy with also sort of flipping a switch in that back 40% to kind of a darker side, to kind of this almost obsessive twist, you could say. Unreal. And on top of that, I've probably said on top of that so much because this movie, all it does is build on top of things. It builds on top of greatness. Just overall, the payoff you get in this film is just absolutely wonderful. Our returning characters coming back, this, that, all of that. This movie is so beautiful. And the one thing that really sold it for me, besides Timothy, is the themes, how thematically rich this film is. The first movie kind of sets up how thematic this movie is going to be. Because, there's like themes running through that first movie. Oh my god, this keeps falling off. There's themes running through that first movie that I do enjoy, but again, they're kind of just lightly touched on when Paul says the line that I've literally memorized, I see a holy war spreading across the universe like unquenchable fire. When he says that line, that sets something up for this movie. And the way that you sort of see this rise to power of Paul, and the way that there is this fine line between worship and loyalty. At what point are you loyal to someone? Like a king, like Duke Leto in the first movie. Of course, he's just a normal king. People are going to be loyal to him. But a god is a different presence in this world, in our world, in real life. People on, religion, people see gods as holy as it gets. The most powerful beings on this earth. They revolve their whole lives around them. And at what point is that different than loyalty? Where is the line between being obsessed and just being loyal? Being willing to die for somebody versus just being loyal. There's a line that is very fine. And the way this film goes over that line and kind of studies that line is beautiful. It's beautiful. And again, I've used this word, but it transcends what I've seen in other films when it comes to themes. Because it's almost so in your face, yet subtle. Like, I feel like I don't need to watch a Dune Part 2 Explained, Dune Part 2 Themes Explained video on YouTube. Because it is very deep, but I kind of actually understood it. It wasn't too deep. And it was great. The layers here. The Bene Gesserit are doing their thing over here. The Fremen are doing their thing over here. The Harkonnens are doing this. We have Gervie and what he's doing kind of over here. So well weaved together. The Emperor, the great houses. Great. I do want to, however, get into a couple of negatives I had. Keep in mind I'm being pretty picky here, though. The first thing. Oh, just want to mention this, though. I do think that the runtime was justified. The runtime was perfect. If I had to pick a bone with this movie, there's 3 things I could think of. The first is that the Emperor, Christopher Walken, and Florence Pugh, his daughter, needed a bit more time. In the same vein, I think that Fade Roth, Austin Butler's character, also needed a bit more time. Keep in mind, I'm just picking away at what I can here, because this is legitimately one of the best movies that I have seen in a while. I think that they did need a bit more development, just a bit more time, honestly, like I was saying, a bit more screen time. The third thing that did bother me a bit, and I'm sure it'll be explored in the future, is that we keep hearing about the great houses and the Emperor and the Imperium, I believe, but we just barely see them. We barely know about them, and that does bother me a bit because it's like, just throw me a bone. Show me something. Tell me the name of one of these great houses. Just something, like just a little bit of detail, you know what I mean? But it's just kind of like, the great houses, the great houses. And they are very important in this film, technically. Same with the Emperor and kind of what goes on there. But it just feels like they don't give us any details, and again, I'm sure that's going to be very relevant to the next film. But regardless, you know, one thing I did want to build on as well, because I'm talking about the great houses, is the world building again. I feel like, as the viewer, I was legitimately one of the Fremen. This movie makes you feel, not just because of the IMAX, it makes you feel like you're with them. It makes you feel, it takes you along for the ride, because it makes you feel like you know everything about the planet Arrakis. I know that the North and the South have different cultures on Arrakis. I know the history of how the Harkonnens ruled, then the Atreides came in, whatever. It makes you feel like you're a part of the club, honestly. That's the best way I can explain it. It makes you feel knowledgeable. And that's cool because then once war breaks out, you're on a side. You know who you're rooting for. Whether it's morally right or morally wrong, it makes you feel like you're a part of that war. You actually have some investment in this battle. Who wins, who loses. And that final act, man. Woo! Boy, is that crazy. And speaking of that final act, now I'm not trying to get into spoilers here. This is in the trailer. We do have a knife fight between Fade Roth, is that his name, and Paul Atreides. And when I tell you that this knife fight is so simple, right? Because you hear a knife fight in the movie, how great could that be? It's so simple, yet at this very moment in time, we've already been through 2 hours and 15 or 2 hours and 30 minutes of this film. Not even including all the setup from the first movie. We are so deep into this story, and the build up to this point, this powerful point in Dune history, is amazing. And this fight, the sound design makes it feel like every single time these knives clash, the metal's hitting the metal. It's impeccable. It's beautiful. It's unbelievable. And the emotions, like I said, the pit in my stomach was killing me. Zendaya, who plays Chani, I believe is her name. The emotions on her face throughout this film. She's a great actress as well. I forgot to bring her up. Amazing. This is a unbelievably moving movie. I'm like stumbling over my words here. And I need to rewatch it, of course. I do need to rewatch it. But man, I can confidently say that while it may not be my favorite yet, because I need to rewatch a movie for it to be my favorite at least once, this is, in my opinion, the best film of the 2020s. 4 years in, this is the best film of the 2020s. And I can confidently say that. I really can. One last thing that I do feel like I need to mention is the people behind the scenes. Denis Villeneuve was clearly on the same wavelength as every single actor in this movie. It feels like they just knew what they were doing. Just everyone on set, I'm saying. It feels like everyone was on the same page when making this film. It doesn't feel like there was like reshoots or anything feels out of place, like this is a damn Marvel movie. Everyone had the same vision, and that was coming from Denny, who clearly had an incredible vision. And on top of that, the person who's able to help him elevate his vision is, I want to say, Greg Fraser, the cinematographer, who in my opinion is clearly the best working cinematographer in Hollywood right now. He did both Dune movies and The Batman. The Batman looks unbelievably beautiful. And that is also one of my favorite movies of this decade, if not my favorite, top 3, whatever. I don't want to get too caught up on that right now. It's just unbelievable what they were able to do with this $100 million budget that other films aren't. It's as simple as that. It really is. It's truly, I'm just so happy that I got to see this movie. I'm so happy to be alive, to witness film. These are the type of movies that just remind me how much I love movies. Even though I went into this movie saying, oh wow, I can't wait to review it, right? I'm going to make a movie. I'm going to make a video on this, then maybe I'll do a ranking of the Dune movies. Maybe I'll compare the two Dune movies. That didn't matter. Because while I was watching that film, it reminded me during those powerful moments of how important movies are to me. How much I love them, how much I appreciate them, how much my world, to an extent, revolves around them. It's more than a hobby. It really is. And it's just so beautiful. It's so emotional. I love film. And like Denny himself said, long live cinema. Long live cinema. May thy knife chip and shatter. Guys, I know I got a little bit off tangent here, but thank you guys so much for watching this video. Dune Part 2, you need to go watch it right now. If you haven't seen Part 1, definitely watch Part 1 because it does get a little bit complicated, and you would not understand Part 2, definitely, if you haven't watched Part 1. But I'm almost at a loss for words. I did have a Red Bull before this, like I said, so I'm feeling very passionate right now. Because Dune, I'm, like, in my opinion, and from my perspective, Dune is like my Lord of the Rings. For my age group. You know? This is my Lord of the Rings. That's what this feels like to me. It's serious, but also like on a blockbuster level. It's highbrow, yet blockbuster, like I'm trying to say. And that's what I just think I love about it so much. It's so wonderful. The lore is so deep. Denny really is slowly climbing up my favorite directors list just from watching these two films in the past week, like I said. Long live cinema. Thank you. I really hope all you guys enjoyed this movie as well. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.